Hey guys, how's it going? I'm gonna make a video about this Pioneer Abzan build that I've been working on. I'm a little sad because I know Ikoria is coming out, and I'm pretty sure the format's gonna change. So I don't know how much the list is gonna change. I feel like I'm really confident with the main, and the sideboard. It's probably gonna change a lot. Just depends on how the meta shifts. But I'm just kind of sad because I haven't had a chance to really stream the deck, so I'm just gonna, and I don't know if I have time now to really stream it. And I feel like since it's kind of the format's gonna change, I'm betting it's gonna change a lot drastically once Ikoria comes out in a couple days. I don't think it's really worth making that kind of content. I can kind of just like make a quick deck tech first off, and then that'll be the first part of the video. The second half will be me pretty much just going over replay of a league that I played a couple days ago. And the last part of the video will be changes I'll make once Ikoria comes out. So let's talk about the deck. So I've been ever since Pioneer came out. I've been trying to delve into some sort of BGX strategy, and I think the shell of just discard into just removal and just having a top end like Nissa is really good. So there's like value plays with like Courser and Tracker. I think Courser's really good with like against all the aggro decks, and Tracker's really good at grinding and stuff like that. But I've tried. I think the main card that you need when you're building BGX and Pioneer is Traverse Evil Wand. And I think this is a card that gives you just that extra nudge in power level. Because I would play like BG Rock, where it's just flat black green, and like the difference between the BG list with Traverse and one without, it's like miles different. Because you can kind of shave on lands, and having this be a tutor late game is just so big. Um, because you have games where you just like float out, and just this being able to just be another creature or land early is really good. And I think Traverse is even better in a 3-color deck like Abzan because the mana is pretty bad. Obviously, there's no fetches. You have shocks, but no fetches. So that's why having something like a Traverse kind of really smooths the mana. Like I get basic planes a lot with Traverse, and then on top of that, you just the deck overall just synergizes really well, and I really hope I don't miss anything. So like the Traverse not only fixes your mana, it gives you that extra bump in power level, but then you also just have this Oops I Win combo with Helion and Walking Ballista, and Walking Ballista is actually pretty good in the format. It just becomes just a one damage removal spell, and it gives the deck reach. It's like really good. Um, so you kind of have like this backup win con of Helion and Walking Ballista. You have a lot of interaction with like Thoughtseizes, Fatal Push, Abrupt Decay. And then you just have like this just mid-range plan where you just have Grim Flares and Scavenging Oozes. You have these grind cards like Courser, Tireless Tracker, Kalidas. And then you have like these flex cards that you can kind of play around with. Um, I like the one of Brain Maggot, just giving that extra discard spell. Like if you play Modern, like usually Jund list and BGX list run 6 discard spells, and Pioneer you have 4 Thought Seizes, but you don't have like that second discard spell that's really good. So you play Brain Maggot, and I know like Inverter plays Agonizing Remorse. Me not Agonizing Remorse. The blue black discard spell, and then you can mill the top card, whatever that card's called. We have that kind of version in Brain Maggot, and it's even better because it's an enchantment. If this card was not an enchantment, this card wouldn't even be really available in this deck. But it's interaction, and if they kill it, it fuels Delirium, and it feels really good when they do kill it because then you're just like, oh, okay, cool, that's the fourth type for Traverse. Um, I originally had 4 Grimflares, and people have been really off on this card. I think this card is good, and it's good in this deck. Um, you have games where obviously it doesn't. It's just like a vanilla 2-mana 2/2 or vanilla 2-mana 4/4 because you have to attack with it. But when you do attack with it, it is really good. It's pretty bad on defense, but I think the upside on it is worth the potential of this card just being vanilla. And if it's vanilla, it's vanilla. It's just how it goes. Um, that being said, if you go turn 1 discard, turn 2 Grimflare, that's like the best start because they have to interact with this Grimflare, or it turns on Delirium. You get a 4/4. You set up the top draws. Like this card does everything you want it to, and if they don't kill it, you're golden. And if they don't kill it and you untap with this card on turn 3, I mean that says a lot about how good that card is, right? Like even though people talk crap about how all the cons about it and all the bad corner cases of it, I think the ceiling is high enough where you can kind of build around Grimflare. And that being said, I think that's also why I'm up to 3 Grizzly salvages. I had 4 and 2, but I swapped it to 3-3 because I've noticed that you can get Delirium with this deck mid to late game. It's just a little hard without a lot of help out of Grimflare or people interacting with you. So I like having 3 Ghostly salvages. It was 4-2, now it's 3-3. Just being able to have another Delirium enabler and just being able to just like I think this deck wants 3 Ghostly salvages. And I had tried iterations with Satyr Wayfinder, and I think Satyr Wayfinder is just not good in this deck because you want action late game and you don't really care for the 1/1 body. Because you have stuff like Course that can block, you have the other removal. I see Satyr Wayfinder in like Sultai Delirium, and I haven't played that deck yet, but in this specific deck in Abzan, I think Grizzly Salvage is 100% better. Don't play Satyr Wayfinder because this can dig for your combo pieces. Like I think maybe Satyr Wayfinder you kind of want to block, and then you can block with the Satyr Wayfinder, and then you can like bring Uro back. Maybe that's why Satyr Wayfinder is better in that deck. Maybe you want more lands because you have Embercool in the deck, you have Nissa in the deck here. Maybe you have more top ends, so you just want lands anyway, and you just want to survive until the late game. Maybe I don't know, but I think Grizzly Salvage is just 1,000 times better than Satyr Wayfinder in this deck, just because you can dig for your combo pieces or just like Murderous Rider or just anything. Leland and Last Hope is just another grind card, a Planeswalker for Delirium. The main thing, the reason why I actually don't like Leland Last Hope in this format, I think it just everything's an X2, so it doesn't kill anything. The only reason I have it is because it's a Planeswalker with the minus ability, and it's kind of like an emergency out where if somehow like Heliod gets discarded and you have and you can roll the combo out, and there's no way to recur Heliod. So you have Leyline Last Hope that can bring Heliod back. I originally had the 4-mana Sorin that has like minus X, bring back whatever creature, and the static ability is lifelink, and that seems okay in an aggro meta, but it doesn't bring back Walking Ballista, and this brings back both. 2 Murderous Rider is pretty gas, one of the best cards in the format. I have a Cletus just because lifelink synergizes with Heliod, and just a solid just mid-range good card in the meta. It's good against aggro, it's good against mid-range. It's a little weak against combo because it's kind of slow, but then you just board it out. This all can be a meta call. This can also be something like a main deck like Kunoros if you're scared of like Breach or just whatever. Same with this Pulchrinos. I just wanted something that I can kind of like mill a bunch of stuff in the yard and just kind of like a payoff. Because like we have very few ways of card advantage. Like we have Tireless Tracker and Leon Lasto, but it's not like I don't know. It just feels a little anemic. Pulchrinos is just like a 4-mana 6/6 that demands to be answered, and I feel like it's good in almost every matchup because it is a quick clock against combo. It's good against midrange because it grinds and fights and it's removable on stick. Like against spirits or like mono red, like this card is just so good because it stonewalls them and just picks off their whole board. And then the list is Arno with 2 Nissa. And this is where kind of synergizes and all that pieces come into place because Nissa is just a 5-mana planeswalker that just can win the game on its own. It's a great mid-range card. But then on top of that, it also makes Walking Ballista less anemic. It doubles your mana almost if you have enough forest. It makes Walking Ballista big. So even if you don't have the combo, just having a big ballista can threaten pretty big. So this list just kind of just like subtly synergizes with itself with the Delirium package, with Grimflare, just having the Walking Ballista combo, and then of course you know, a combo you have Nissa that doubles the mana. You have Traverse, then you can Traverse for a 1 of combo, worst case scenario. It's like it just comes together really well, and I really like this main, and I really like them. Like I don't think I would change anything. Like if the new set wasn't coming out, like I think this main is perfect, and I could see an argument for like a Kunoros main for over one of these 2 cards, but just for how it's right now, I just like these 2 cards main. The sideboard is where it gets tricky. The Agonizing Remorse is just for like combo, Niv, Inverter. You just want that other 6 discard spell. English Making is really good because you want a removal spell. I wanted a removal spell that can answer Heliod, Scarab God, Ashiok, the 5-mana one, and Jace, the Planeswalker from Inverter. This deals with all of that. And Exile is actually surprisingly relevant, like Heliod, like Scarab God. Also because like there's that black white Auras deck, kind of like it's like puts auras and auras on top of each other, and there's one card that like when it dies, like its owner draws a card for each aura attached to it, and exiling it just gets rid of it. I'm gonna pass on the Ice Shock real quick. It's gonna be one trophy just as a versatile removal spell. Gideon's Intervention is for Uro. I think against Sultai Delirium, if you stop their Uro plan, their only win cons are like Ashiok, maybe one Scarab God. So it's like taking away the 4 of win con and just leaving with only like 3 is pretty good. Ishkana is pretty decent, just mid-range mirrors against Spirits. It's really good. If Spirits wasn't a thing, I think I would actually take out Ishkana. I know it has Delirium. I know people really like it. I know Sultai Delirium is main decking it, but I don't think it's that good. In terms of this deck, like they want to slow the game down and they want to chump block with Ishkana and then they just take over the game with Uro. I think Ishkana is a lot worse in this deck. I think we just want to just stop the game. Like we just want to either A, kill them fast with Gunflare, B, outvalue them with Tracker, and if we can't do that, we just combo kill them. And Ishkana kind of outgrinds them, but like it doesn't really attack well. You can stabilize and go to 7 mana and just drain it for 4 each time, but then just I don't know, it's just very anemic. It's okay. Like I can see this being like a Nissa, like the other 5-mana Nissa, or just like another Grand card, like a Guinean or something. Combo is pretty good against like Burn, and like it's really good against Lotus Breach, against Control. Just having just a 3 mana, just hey, you have to deal with this or you're just gonna die is great. Pass on the Kai. I'm gonna go back on those 2 real quick. Night Dawn's pretty good, just to be able to tutor for it. You can tutor and get tutoring and naturalize or gaining 4 life is really good. I think this is just one of those cards that you just have to have in Abzan Traverse in the sideboard because it just does a lot. Life gain and naturalize is a lot to have in one card. Kunos is against Breach. Monarch back aggro too because it stops all the recursive threats. I like having 2 sweepers. You could do 1 Lingers and then having the 4th Fatal Flash on the board, but I think I like having just 2 sweepers in general. I think that's just like my playstyle. I just like having sweepers. And Lost Legacy against you name Fey Wishes against Lotus Breach and Inverter against the namesake deck Inverter. The last 3 cards I'm going to talk about is the Kai and the Ashok. These are the 3 Yard Hate cards. This could easily be a Leyline if you really wanted to. I had Leyline in my Fireball Channel Fireball 2K that I top 8'd. But I think Ashok is just better against like Sultai Delirium because it shuts off Traverse and you can kind of just repeatedly exile the yard without having to worry about getting the enchantment destroyed. Because I've noticed when I play it online, a lot of Sultai Delirium players bring in like Unravel the Aether and just like random like exile because they see Heliod, right? So they want to exile it and then okay, well there's this alien land. We're giving them more targets for those kind of removal, while Ashok is kind of a little bit more versatile. And against Lotus Breach, it's like having Lana is really a concession to Lotus Breach because they just fill the yard on the turn they combo off. So Ashok does nothing here. Same with Kaya. But I feel like against every other matchup, these 2 are just a lot better. That being said, if you really are scared of Lotus Breach, if there's a lot of Lotus in your mana, just switch these 3 to the Leyline. But I think Ashok is better. And on top of that, Ashok stops Sylvan Scrying, so it's not like it's too terrible against Lotus Breach, but just something. And then Kaya's, I think, is really good just against all like the mono red decks, just being able to exile multiple things. But on top of that, like against Inverter, like if you play this, they literally can't invert you if they ask like if you go Kaya Plus, they do whatever. You Kaya Plus again, they can't Inverter because you just Kaya Ball them. Like you literally kill them. So this is kind of like a must answer. And plus, like you know how they like mill over their win cons, they mill over like Thassa's Oracle or Jace or whatever. Like that's how a lot of the games against Inverter plays out. You can just exile those specific cards and leave the other cards, and that way they have to naturally draw whatever card they have if you don't answer the Inverter with Gideon's Intervention or Lost Legacy. And is that the case? Like they because they always like dig the time, leave their combo pieces, Inverter, flip, and then draw the combo piece and win. Kaya stops that plan and actually flips around and punishes them for it. So I really like Kaya so far. But yeah, that's the deck. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to message me on Twitter or find me on Facebook. You can message me on Facebook or just find me on whatever format you can. And I don't mind talking about this deck because I love this. Because I put a lot of effort into this deck too. A lot of testing. And I think it paid off because when I top-aided the Channel Fireball 2K, it felt really, really good. The deck felt great. But yeah, let's go over some games. So I believe the first round is against Mono Red. This is a keepable hand, just having interaction, Fatal Push, Grim Flare, yada yada yada. So I could push. I could either play the Grim Flare or push the Monster Spirit. I end up just pushing it because they could just kill the Grim Flare with like whatever shock or Wild Slash, and then I just die. So during the second push is pretty gas here. So I traverse for a land, and I think that's what a lot of people don't do in this deck. They don't traverse enough for a basic. They always want to make it a tutor, and I think more than 50% of the time I traverse for a basic. I think it's just how it goes. They Boulder Rush the Monster Sphere, which is pretty good. So the thing about this matchup is you have to kill Soul Scar Mage, otherwise they just shrink your win cons and you can't win. So like it just sucks. Like Soul Scar Mage is such a good card for them. So that's why I hold up Murderous Rider. The hand is pretty gas here. So then, and it sucks because now they're Hellbent. So then this Brain Maggot doesn't really do anything. So I can like set up this play where I can block the Swiftspear with Ballista and then ping the other one. Or I could just trade here. So, oh, that's the other thing too. I forgot. So I actually blocked there and then sacked the Ballista essentially and grew my Grimflare to a 4/4 because the artifact creature sorcery instant makes it Delirium, which is pretty gas. So now I'm at 3. I hope my opponent doesn't play anything too much. Scavenging Ooze is just such a good draw here. And I don't mind trading, because I have to get rid of it anyway. Probably put Traverse on top, yeah. And then I just gain life with Scoos. Yep. So I think we've successfully turned the corner here, and we can actually attack with a Shambling Vent, which is pretty gas. And our opponent concedes. I know MTGO has a history of fucking up replays. So this March up, you just board out the Aussies, breaking stuff like Kunaros and some sweepers. So this hand's pretty good, and the reason why I like Languish here in this sideboard, because like hands like these, we can't win without a sweeper. It's crazy how Grimflare just held off this whole team. And I play Grimflare over Kunaros because I don't want to take the 2 damage. This is here where like I could have double blocked here. But I think that just blows me out if they have removal. So they have 2 cards in hand. And just I don't know. I don't feel comfortable double blocking there. It just seems like you're just setting yourself up to get blown out. And Burrow Reckoner is just insane. So I hold up Murderous Rider. And then that hurts. I think I probably should have played the Kunaros here. That was just probably a misplay on my part. Then I could have been able to block this guy. So Kunaros would have helped me. They probably wouldn't have attacked. They probably would have just attacked with the Rampaging Frost and all. But I also can't gain life, and I think that's one reason why I didn't play Kunaros, because I wanted to Murder Strike to this and play Kunaros and then start gaining life. But I don't think there's a sequence of plays that could have won this game. If I can, just let me know. So this is kind of similar in a game 1 where I just have interaction. I don't Fatal Push here because I'm not scared of this card. Like I said, the card that I'm more scared of is this card, Soul Scar Mage, and that's because like like if I get Delirium with my Grimflare, it gets huge. I trade here with Grimflare just because I am comfortable just trading it. I kind of want to have the board clear and then just have Cletus. So I block this, and then because I have a feeling they have a removal, so they want to make that attack, and then I just end up pushing it, and they just have Wild Slash anyway. So Cletus is pretty big game here, but they have the Collected Defiance, and that's just huge. So here I could either gain 4 life or make a 4/3. And I make a 4/3 because I kind of want to be able to trade, and I feel like I'm at high enough life total. The shitty thing about it is like I don't have Delirium, and this is why I kind of want that. This is why I run a 3rd Grizzly Savage, because of stuff like this. So now I kind of need a ballista here, or I need like So I could have ballista x equals 0 and then traversed for something, but I don't think that's a winning line. I ended up just blocking here and getting that. So then that way now I have delirium, but there's nothing really good for me to get. So I get so here's Scoos, and then I just try to gain as much life as I can. Luckily, I have enough green sources and try to stabilize here. But it doesn't matter. They end up having the lightning strike. So them having collective defiance for Arcletus just was really bad for us. So as you can see, I don't know if there's a way out of that game either. Like, just having multiple creatures is really good. Them having removal Cletus also too is just really bad for us. And that's why I see a lot of people still keep in like Thoughtseize against this deck, and I can see why, but it just feels so bad. So here I ballisted the Elvish Mystic just because I have other removal in hand. So this is why one of the reasons I love Urborg too. Just being able to just have double black sources. Like, I really like Urborg. I was a little hesitant at first, but there's so many spots where this Urborg just makes this black mana for me. It's great. So they just like curve out with Love Struck Beast. Cast the Thoughtseize. Take the Embercleave. So here it's kind of awkward because they don't attack with the I guess they don't want to make the 1/1 that has to attack, and I can just block. So here I have the option to Fatal Push. So now I just Fatal Push both things, and then I just have the War Boss. So I can just Ballista this War Boss away. I don't know why I didn't attack there. That just seems like a loose attack. That seems like a loose play. I don't think this replay is right. I don't think this. Oh, because I had the Traverse. That's why. So I wanted to try to combo them, and I combo them. That's why. That makes sense. I was playing to combo. That's the kind of lines that you kind of have to take, where it's like you can kill them, and that's why like the lines you take with this deck is kind of difficult because Walking Ballista can be a removal spell or it can be a combo piece, and it's hard to distinguish between one and two. So that makes sense. I'm like questioning my own play that one, which is really funny. Don't mind my lighting. I know it's getting a little dark here. So the rule with these kind of decks is I don't like Fatal Pushing the Mana Dork unless I have another removal spell. Because you don't want to get really out tempoed, which kind of sucks. But that being so, like if I only have one Fatal Push, I would just let them have the Elvish Mystic. So here I just decay the Rabble Master. Oh, they have another one, which sucks. So here it's kind of awkward because I want to Grizzly Savage and Grim Flare, and I think that's probably what would have cost me the game because I probably would have been able to block the Rabble Master profitably and like Grizzly Savage. Not being able to have the Black Source also, so I just play Cletus, which is kind of awkward. Dog's just like scratching. Like, what is that? So I trade because I don't think I can go down to 3. And then I can just like dig in here, which is kind of awkward. That Clothis is just doing a lot of work, and them exiting the mana is just absurd. Because now they just take away a Delirium too, which makes our Ishkanah that much worse. Maybe I should have played Ishkanah the previous turn. I think my replay is spazzing. Yeah, my replay is spazzing. I don't know if this is correct. Like, sometimes the replay isn't very accurate. But basically, the Clothis just took over the game, and I couldn't attack through, and they just kept dealing me 2 damage and 2 damage. So I think it's game 3. This hand is actually pretty poor. Just because it has no relevant interaction. I have a Scooz. The Traverse doesn't do anything. The Pelucanos is a really good draw because it can pretty much stabilize. The replay is, I think, active again. Screwing plays a pretty good draw. The basic planes again is screwing us over because if I had if I had the option to, I would have traversed there too, just so I can get a fourth land for sure. Then getting Scavenging Ooze is pretty bad for us. Maybe just play Heliod. And this card is just so good for them because it stops us from comboing off. They're just aggro, so we can't gain life with Scooz, we can't gain life with Night of Autumn, we can't gain life with Courser. Like that card really was just a thorn in our side in this game. So, Lovestruck Beast is also a really good card. It's just like a better Lingering Souls, just because it makes a 5/5. Like that's just absurd. So I killed the Scooz. I probably should have killed the Rampaging Ferocidon, to be honest here. Just because we need to be able to stabilize. And this is a misplay here, why I didn't exile the Scooz in response. I kind of just clicked through, and that probably cost me the game. And I think I just started punting this game because I just tilted off that because I just clicked through. My opponent knows I have a Lingus on top now. And I just didn't languish here. Like, I'm dead to a 1/1 because, yeah, I just didn't languish here. Like, I should have languished. And that just cost me the game. Because, like, I'm not dead, but, so yeah, so I wouldn't have died because now my opponent just kills me. Because now he just has 2 Lovestruck Beasts and a Clothis. So I'm not dead, and then it gives me another draw. I have Grossly Salvage. Which is kind of annoying. I definitely could have won that game. So this league actually started off pretty bad, but I want to be pretty transparent with the lines and just what I got done wrong. And this hand's actually pretty bad. But you can't. I don't think you can mulligan hands like these. Grandfather's is a good draw. You can't mulligan hands like these just because this format is pretty high variance and like Reduke. I was watching Reduke stream the other day, and so this looks inverter, so push doesn't do anything. That's why I mold them and I kept Thoughtseize on top. This Pioneer is it's very inconsistent, so you can't mulligan hands like these where you can do things, right? So it feels bad, but you kind of just have to do it. Like you kind of have to just keep these hands, especially in the blind. And I just play Heliod. Jace is fine. So then I just kill them, attack them, and I play the Rider. Because now I know they can't Inverter here. They can't Inverter and win the game because they have all those cards. Like they can't cast Dig Through Time and Inverter. That's why I just attack them. And then I just have the Murder Start on top. And then if they try to counter, I have a second one in hand with the land underneath it. So I kind of just aggro them out. Their hand was pretty poor too. That's the thing. Like their hand was like a really clunky. Like they cast the first spell they cast like a Hero's Downfall, which is kind of bad. It's the game 2. And that's kind of the nature of it too. Like on their side, it'd be like their hand like really didn't do anything either, but you can't really mulligan those hands. And I think that's why aggro decks can kind of like I feel like Mono Red is very well positioned too because of the nature of the format. Because I think Mono Red is the most consistent deck and just getting your opponent dead. So Traverse for basicing as I just need lands, like I said. So opponent not casting anything on the first 3 turns, again, like they're just keeping really clunky hands. Which I don't think you can mulligan in this matchup, just in Thoughtseize Mirrors, right? Thought Eraser, that's the card I was trying to think earlier. Them taking Thought Erasure is very questionable in my opinion. Alright, taking Nissa just because I think you want to take Lost Legacy just because their hand is new. So they have Ashiok, um, Languish, and then 2 lands, I think. So I don't know why they. I think they had Dig, I think too. So I think Ashiok, Dig, and which is pretty bad for us. Like Dig Through Time is just such a good card. And here Pelucanos is like showcases how good that card is, just because it's just such a quick clock. So it's just like, yeah, sure you can exile because I have a 6/6 in play. And they take Rider, which is kind of weird. Like Kaya's the more threatening card in my opinion, because they have to like have a removal spell for it. And Ashok is also really nice here too, because um, it can exile these tokens that Ashok's make. So like this just like you don't have to waste a removal spell and you can safely attack it. It bounced by Kaya and that's why I kept the Kaya instead of Assassin Trophy, because I can just kill it now. So now my opponent plays a Desperation Thassa's Oracle. So now I just Kaya and then my opponent surprisingly doesn't attack. Me not playing the land here is kind of punishing too, but it's okay. They end up having the Noxious Grass, so it's fine. I knew about the Languish. And then next turn I can just like bring back Pelucranos. Opponent just tops like a land, which is good for us. And this is what I'm talking about here, where like we just go into top deck wars in this with this deck, and then you just bring back Pelucranos and just win the game. I'm looking at like 15 minutes. Girlfriend's waiting for dinner, and like this what happened. Like my opponent just top deck land, I just fought and just won the game. So that's pretty much a good sample size there, because you kind of want to see how we play against Inverter. It's not a really good sample size. They didn't have any like early interaction or anything, so it's kind of a bad. Like that's not how usually the matchup plays out, but it just shows how effective like Lost Legacy is and Plukinus is too. So like just justifying the slots in the deck. Hold up Fatal Push, another Soul Scarred Mage matchup, which is awful. Top deck in the Overgrown Tomb is just really lucky. I end up just killing the Booster Cool Weird while I can. I don't want them to just have untapped mana and then I just can't kill anything. Like you kind of want to keep the board clear here. Here I just play Grimflare. It's not delirious. I don't know why I didn't play the Shambling event first. I don't know. That just seems kind of wrong. Maybe I wanted the temp. Oh yeah, that's the right one. I wanted the Temple Garden because I wanted the extra gain source of Scavenging Ooze without having to pay life. That's why I did it. For this specific line here, where I can I should have I waited for them to untap, so just in case I had a Wild Slash or something. And then the Scavenging is just holding off their whole board, which is absurd. 70 is also good against Dreadhorde Arcanist too. So now Liliana is just shrinking the Bone Crusher Giant, which is really good. It doesn't kill anything, like I said in deck tech, but at least it's preventing an attacker. This Singleton Scavenging Ooze is just taking over the game. I can safely exile Grimflare. He's already a Walking Blast in the yard. Just playing out Skoos. So I'm just like stabilizing as much as I can. You gotta watch out for Embercleave. But you can't really like play around it. So I just get Courser, try to stabilize again. Abrupt Decay is really good. Just being able to, if they do top deck Embercleave, you can kind of just decay whatever they have. And they just concede here, which is fine. It makes sense. So you have games like these where you kind of just like try to stabilize and just turn the corner. And it's one of those games where like Courser looks really good here, right? And it's just one of those hands where like it's really sketchy. You're kind of like leaning on this Language to pull a lot away and then gain a lot, like not do anything pretty much until turn 4, and then just like hopefully gain life back with Courser. And like I'm very tempted to kind of like Fatal Push something just to kind of like bluff. Oh, I don't have a sweeper. Because like here they're not gonna play anything, right? Like they're not gonna play into a sweeper, or they shouldn't. They really shouldn't. If they do, then that's just really bad. But like they just kind of just. But then I'm kind of incentivized to play removal spell just based on what they do here. They kind of just empty their hand. Like they go Hellbend here, and then I can't take 8 damage here, so I have to push anyway. So take out the Soul Scar Mage. So now they're just left with the 1/1, and I think at this point you don't really need to play Languish anymore. If they play the Bone Crusher, like we have the Murder Strike for the Bone Crusher Giant. So like this course is just doing a lot of work. Kalidas is pretty big game here. And I actually just end up languishing here just because I'm going to top deck Kalidas next turn and they have no cards in hand, which makes sense. Alright, last match. As the sun's starting to set. I can tell it's going a little dark. I mulligan a hand, which was like all 3 drops and 3 lands. It kind of goes against what I was saying earlier, but I kind of want interaction. So you kind of do want interaction, but if you don't do anything until turn 3, it's kind of bad. So it looks like I'm against Rock this game, which is kind of cool. So Polukranos is pretty bad for us because, as you can see, it's a 6/6 and it's just gonna kill us. So Baymaga takes Assassin's Trophy because I want to make sure this Cleaves is alive. That's like the only way we can kind of come back from this. Like we need to go Cletus into like Murderous Rider or like Fatal Push. I ended up just casting Nissa. Maybe I should have just played the Cletus here just so I can attack back, but like they're just gonna remove the Cletus with the Pelucranos. That's why I probably didn't do it. So now I can play the Cletus here, and they can't fight. And this is a pretty safe attack for us. Didn't play the land for Tracker, and they Thoughtseize us, and now they play Tassiger. So we just kind of just need a removal spell here. What you do, we top deck Traverse into Murderous Rider. And so we trade, get zombies. Like I said, Cletus is just so good in the main deck. And this is one of the reasons why I love Traverse, because in the other version it could just been a land. Being able to traverse for a removal spell and Murderous Rider is just so good. Like Murderous Rider is just so good in this format, and it's probably one of the best cards in this deck, just because you can tutor for it. So it was like 2-mana Nissa. It's pretty loose keep, or pretty loose mulligan. It looked like Grimflare. It's annoying. Like this is one of those spots where I was telling you where like, you get in with a flare trigger and you're just so behind, so you have to remove it. And that's why you play that card. Like, yeah, I killed it, but like I had to kill it. If I didn't have the removal spell, like I would be so behind. And they just ruined my Grimflare, which is fine. And then they just have infinite cards. Now with Tyler's Tracker, I'm just very behind because now I have to, because I have Tracker and land, and I have multi-5. So it's kind of a death sentence here. And then they just have Liliana Death's Majesty. Like, oh my god, this is just absurd. So like, it's like now like they just keep chumping my Pelucranos and just keep shrinking. And then I have to fight the Tireless Tracker. I Grisly Savage in response just because just in case just to get cards in the graveyard, and then just have 2 lands with Thoughtseize purposely whiffs, and then I can escape the Pelucranos when it eventually dies. But this Leon is just taking over the game. Like, I could Abrupt Decay the token, but that just feels so bad. I could also just fight a zombie token, but they just getting Rask and just getting all the value. They just have Double Walker, and we Traverse for a Tracker to try to get value. Like, I could try to Traverse for, like, a Heliod and hope to top deck a Walking Ballista or something. But, like, it's just all bad because like they have the Raska, so I know like they can kill the Tracker, but I feel like I just need to draw cards, right? And they just go triple Walker, double Liliana, Vraska, which is insane. So like Thoughtseize are Liliana goes, I'm gonna decay it. The Liliana they have in play, and it's just like, alright. And then they just trophy my Cletus. So they bring back Tracker with Liliana, which is pretty cool. I kind of want to play this card. The only gripe I have about Liliana is against Inverter, Shock makes 2/3, so any token producer that only makes 2/2s just gets outclassed so fast, and that's why I think Gideon's actually really bad right now. I just saw this replay because you need a card that can kill Ashiok, or at least kind of just go toe to toe with Ashiok. And 2/2s do not match up with 3/3s, and I think that's why this card is just not like It fuels Delirium, it does everything you want it to, and if Ashiok just wasn't played, I think this card would be great in the sideboard, like over Ishkanar or something. But the fact that like Ashiok makes 2/3s makes this card almost unplayable because you need a card that can go toe to toe with it in terms of value if you're trying to play that game. Which you are, right? You're breeding a grinded card in that matchup. You need a card that can go toe to toe with the grind cards, and that does not. So I keep, and this is the match where I kind of played. I posted on Twitter, where I just, it's kind of funny. I just draw all traverses. So I actually play 2 traverses just so I have 5 lands in play. Just an 8th in my deck, just so if I need to curve out into like Kalidas or something, I can. And play Nissa on turn 5 without having to traverse or anything. But this is pretty bad. So I just Grizzly Savage. I get a tracker of my own, so it's pretty good. I could play Nissa, but I think I just want to keep up in card advantage. Like, this is just the best opportunity you can. And they Swift End, so that's pretty good, too. But them cracking clues is good, because that means they don't have any other threats. They could be a lot of removal, but them Murderous running a Tireless Tracker is actually pretty bad for them. Because that means their hand is just, like, usually you just want to Fatal Push something. You have the clues to crack, right? So it's like... So then I just Swift in their Tireless Tracker. So now we're kind of even on cards, almost. I'm a little behind. I think they drew an extra card, but the Scavenging was just so good. Because my hand is just so bad now. So I was debating, like, I don't know what I could do. Like, I kind of just, like, I was like, should I just attack with the Scoos and then make them, like, grow, or I could just let them untap? I didn't really know what to do, because I'm gonna pause here real quick, because I kind of want them to just crack a clue, or because like if they exile and take me off Delirium, I think the game is just over. Like I can't beat it unless I draw a Fatal Push for Scavenging Ooze and refuel my graveyard. I don't think I can win this game. So this is the point where I'm kind of just hoping my opponent makes a mistake, which is just cracking a clue and just tapping out for something, right? Because so it's kind of one of those things where like I'm goading them to not exile my area, because if I attack with my land, they are incentivized to block and exile my Trash Tracker, and I'm off Delirium. Because my cards in my graveyard are a couple lands, a couple traverses, a couple instants, and 1 Tireless Tracker. And that just goes their Scavenging Ooze. And they can exile their own tracker or their Grimflare, and then becomes a 4/4 and they block, right? Takes them off Delirium. So I kind of just have to just not do anything, and then just hope they crack the clue, which they did. So they crack a clue, and they just tap out. I guess the odds of me just having more traverses is low, because I used 2 of them, which I guess my opponent's like, well, I don't need to exile the card in my graveyard, right? And they have a good turn. I think if I didn't have these exact 2 cards in my hand, like that turn is solid. They just flooded the board, right? And they kind of want to protect their Nissa. Like their line makes sense. But then we just win the game here. Because we just traverse Rehelia, traverse Welcome Ballista, and just win the game. And this is why I am arguing for Abzan, because you have these scenarios where my opponent's board state is a lot better than mine. They have a Planeswalker, a big 6/6 body, and a Scavenging Ooze that just grows. Like their board state is arguably better than mine. But I have this infinite combo, and this is another reason why I'm advocating for Traverse. Yeah, my opponent had the Scavenging Ooze, and it was probably bad. Um, if my opponent kind of played around, like if my opponent just saw what I had, like knew what I had, like yeah, that my hand would have done nothing. But I think this ceiling here is why we play this. Play the card Traverse and play the Heliod combo. And I'm really glad this is a game that I want to show, is because it kind of shows everything. And kind of ties everything together. Well, Nissa doubles all in mana, makes it have enough mana to combo and play Heliod, play Ballista, and combo off, right? Because you need X equals 4, plus 2 mana to activate, plus 3 mana, right? So that's 6, that's 9 mana, 10, 11 with casting the True Traverses. This is why Nissa is really good in the deck, because you can just like, you have things that you can funnel mana into, like this Walking Ballista. And so this kind of goes into Ikoria, where the only card that I'm actually really interested in is Vivian. Let me pull it up. Wow, this is really bright, and I need to turn on my room. Ikoria. So what I was talking about with Ashiok is Ashiok makes 2 threes. This makes 3 threes. Let me get a better picture here. So this card kind of does. So the only upside with Nissa is it doubles our mana, right? Turning our lands into creatures is really bad because we get into like these mid-range games where they die in combat, they block or whatever, and we end up losing. Like we can't lose those lands. Like this deck is somewhat mana hungry. It takes 6 mana to combo up, and losing a land is a pretty big deal. So this card actually making 3 threes can make vigilance or even reach against spirits is really good. And trample is also very, very relevant when we really want to just win the game. And also just makes vigilance, so it kind of does the same thing. It makes the same kind of the same type. Uh, that being said, it also has the extra cherry on top of just like having that Corsair of Crew Fix ability that's one-sided, so like you can look at it yourself, and you can cast a creature spell. Like so, that's just like more value, right? Like what's great about Corsair in this kind of deck is like you get the value when you can play land off the top, and Vivian does the same with creatures. Um, the deck runs a decent amount of creatures here. It runs 18. And on top of that, it sets up really well with Grimflare, so you can get a trigger in. And that's why Grimflare is so good with Torser. Because you can kind of filter it, play the land, have another card, like just like these virtual card advantages that as is actual card advantage. You can just you get an extra land in play, and this is the same thing. It's with creatures. And then the last ability is what kind of ties everything together, where Nissa doubles her mana. So Nissa's kind of better if somehow you can't combo. But with Vivian, if you go uh, turn 5 Vivian, turn 6 play Walking Ballista for 2 X equals 2. You pay 4 mana, leave 2 mana open. You activate his ability. You can actually get Heliod. You can tutor him up. So you play Ballista and you just win. The flip side is when you have 3 Ballistas, it is kind of an anemic card because it's really clunky. You saw one of those games where it took 2 mana to kill an Elvish Mystic, which kind of sucks. But once you kind of get into the late game, like yeah, you can make X equals 2. Like a 2 mana, a 2/2 Ballista is like okay, but having a Vivian and then makes Ballista so much better because it turns into a tutor. So like, you can't get Cletus or Pelucrinus, but you can get any 3-drop. So like this, if you go Vivian minus, you can Ballista and you can get a Knight of Autumn, a Kunaros, a Comball. Like you have some silver bullets on top of like you can get like a Scavenging Ooze or like a Tireless Strider from a grind. You can get a Murder Strider if you need to kill something. Like you get these kind of value plays or just like silver bullets. Like this ends up kind of being like a mini traverse. So like I think if I had a Vivian instead of Nissa, I wouldn't have won that last game against BG Rock. That being said, I think Vivian fits this deck better. It'll just be like a straight 2 swap. Plus, like I just won't run any Nissa's. I'll just run that Vivian card instead. Um, I don't think he could run 3 planeswalkers. I think that's too top end heavy. I mean, maybe you could cut the Cletus or a Puganos and then have like 1 Nissa, 2 Vivian or something. I think that's just too top heavy. I think you can only just run one of them. You could also do a 1-1 split, but I think that's just very inconsistent. So I think when the format comes back with the new set, when the new set is released, I'm gonna test Vivian over Nissa and go from there. But yeah, that's it. This took almost an hour, and you saw the sunset. And now my face is really dark. um, but if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to message me on Twitter, or just message me on Facebook or whatever. I love talking about this deck. Um, and if you guys have just any inputs on what do you think about the deck, just let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope this isn't too long for you guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye.